Hi VC, it's Nico back again after a couple of weeks, and I don't know if you hear it in the background, but I try to turn it up loud as the title of the album suggests, and it's of course the wonderful Slade, and the first album as Slade, but second album as a band called Play It Loud. This is from 1970, and the tune you're hearing in the background or heard is Who Know Who You Are, which is a remake of an instrumental from their first album Beginnings, when they were called Ambrose Slade. And on that album the song was called Genesis, I believe. But this is a wonderful album. This is before Slade found their glam rock position in the rock history. This is when they were searching for the sound. And this is the period with Slade that I enjoy the most. This album, and I think it's is it Slade, the album after this one, and Slade Alive, are mighty fine albums. This has moments of Beatle-esque tunes, just good rock and roll, and somewhat muddy, crudely recorded in places, just excellent. I think they should have stayed on this path, but then again, perhaps they wouldn't have been as big as they were. Well, the purpose of this video isn't Slade. The purpose of this video are two box sets I purchased recently, and I'm not the biggest fan or collector of box sets, but I just found two awesome box sets I would like to share with you. And the first one I bought a couple of weeks back is by an artist I grew up listening to quite a lot, and I have most of his 60s records, but lack some. So when I found this box set, I just had to grab it. It's John Mayall and the John Mayall's Bluesbreakers. And this box set is simply called John Mayall's Bluesbreakers with, and here's the list of all the musicians in within. And this contains 12 albums, and let me show them to you. This is a marvelous way of completing your 60s John Mayall discography in one chunk. Let me just pull out the albums. This is one of the reasons I'm not the biggest box set fan. I just like to grab my LPs from the shelf and play them. Here I have to unpack the whole damn thing, but I can't complain. Well, there's a couple of sampler albums here with non-album tracks. This is called Rare Tracks and was released sometime in the late 60s, early 70s on Decca, and it has marvelous non-album tracks. There's a volume 1 and a volume 2, and there are some standout Peter Green tracks on here, which for some reason didn't make it onto any albums, but I think they were single cuts, which is strange for a band like John Mayall's Bluesbreakers anyway. And So Many Roads, I think this is a sampler as well. I have the original on Decca. And of course the 1968 album Blues from Laurel Canyon, featuring a young Mick Taylor. This one is the only one with a gatefold cover, by the way, which is strange because This one and Bare Wires were released in a gatefold cover, but Bare Wires from the year before, 1967, in a single sleeve. This contains John Heisman on drums and Dick Hextall-Smith on saxophones, who of course went on to form Colosseum. Also Mick Taylor. Both the Diary of a Band live album, live collage albums, great stuff. The first one with Mick Taylor, Crusade, from 1967. Yes, 1967. The Blues Alone, just John Mayall on this one. And this can be quite pricey to find on the Ace of Clubs label, the original. A Hard Road with Peter Green, the album after Eric Clapton quit. Of course, the Beano album with Eric Clapton. And last but not least, the first album John Mayall plays. John Mayall from 1965, I believe. Recorded live at Klux Kleek. And this is a great album featuring the guitarist Roger Dean. Yes, so this is a wonderful box set where you can grab all of John Mayall's Bluesbreakers 60s albums in one grab. Of course, these are 80s pressings, early 80s I believe, or late 70s. And a bit of flimsy cover quality and vinyl, but records play fantastically and sound amazing. So this is a box set well worth grabbing. Perhaps on the downside, this box set doesn't contain anything else than the 12 LPs. No booklets, no pictures, no nothing else. But still, a nice box set to have if you don't want to shell out those big bucks on originals. So, Decca Sampler, John Mayall's Bluesbreakers, all 60s albums. Well, next up we have a band which needs no introduction at all. I think I can just do this and you know which band I'm talking about. Can you guess it? Of course you can. I grew up with the Rolling Stones. My father let me and my brothers play his records, and we played his records to death till there were shreds left, and I still have some of his shreds. This is an original US Flowers mono pressing, I think, stereo, whatever. Yes, mono, original, 1967, from import from USA. An original between the buttons, stereo, unboxed Decca, and as you can see, oh, here's the first album with no record. Out of our heads. So as you can see, me and my brothers, we love the Rolling Stones, and I have to give a big shout out and thanks to my father for letting us enjoy and play the heck out of his records. My father's father, my grandfather, was a pilot and flew overseas, and he brought home, each time he came from the United States or the UK, he brought home first issues of the Rolling Stones records. And as you might know, there was a big difference between some of the UK and the US issues. By the way, this is the first Stones record. And my father had them all. And this is what's left. So, Of course, I have bought 12 by 5, Stone's second album, I believe, in the United States. So, of course, I have bought reissues, and I've had some original issues through the years. I still have the Satanic Majesty's Request, the first issue from the UK, from my father's collection, which is playable. But last year, Abco decided to release all the 60 Stones albums in mono in a box set called The Rolling Stones in Mono. And I've been wanting this box set ever since late summer last year. But I have had quite a bit of bad luck with such heavyweight box sets being sent in the mail earlier, so I didn't want to order it online, and none of my local shops seemed to carry the box sets, so I didn't know what to do. And with time I sort of forgot it a little bit, but being in Oslo last week, attending a concert by a band called Fleet Foxes, I of course had to go through a bit of record shops, and there it stood on the counter in one of the shops, and of course I had to grab it. You know all about this box set. It contains all of the 60s Rolling Stones albums, remastered from the original master tapes, in mono, and heavyweight pressings, good quality, and I have to tell you, these albums sound magnificent. I want to show you some of the albums. Opens like this with a lid, and inside you find a nice lavish booklet with pictures and liner notes. Lots of cool pictures of the Stones. And some liner notes on which albums and so forth. I haven't had the time to read it. High quality printing. And of course, for those into downloading, you get a download code if you want to listen to the Stones in mono while jogging, perhaps. And nice quality pressing heavyweight vinyl, and sort of Blake sleeves which have a closing lip, so the covers are safely tucked away inside. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but nice glossy covers, and of course these are wonderful pressings. They sound so good. Quiet pressings and crisp and clean sound. They have sort of recreated the early Decca and London labels. Sort of, not 100%. Just a gimmick label. But I've been listening through all of the albums, and these sound almost better than what I remember the early or the first pressings of these albums sounded. But yeah, a well done remastering job from Bob Ludwig, who transferred, I think they were digitally transferred from the original analog master tapes onto digital, and then cut for the lacquers and onto the records. But if you can hear any traces of digital sound here, which I believe is bullshit anyway, then you got a better hearing than any human. 12 by 5, which I showed the original. A bit of saturation problems perhaps on this cover. Some of the covers are a little bit grainy, number 2, than the originals, but man, the way the records sound is by far the most important. And what's funny is that they have included the UK and the US versions, where there are big differences between the two. So what you get is, of course, the first Stones album, the first US Stones album, I think, 12 by 5, number 2, Now, which is the second, never mind, and Out of Our Heads, US version, Out of Our Heads, UK version, and this, which is my favorite December album, December Children's and Everybody's, the Rolling Stones from 1965. And you get the UK Aftermath album from 1966 and its US counterpart with a bit of a different track listing. Of course, the US record companies wanted to put the singles on the albums, which for some reason the English record companies didn't do. Of course, Between the Buttons, the UK version, and the reason for including the UK version and not the US is because they included the compilation album Flowers, which has the singles from the US Between the Buttons anyway. And this sounds out of this world good. First time in probably 30 years I hear "Have you seen your mother, baby, standing in the shadow?" And it sounds good. It sounds good, not thin and screechy like you know it does. Of course, there's Satanic Majesty's Request, mono edition. It's a pleasure hearing tracks such as Citadel, 2000 Man, She's a Rainbow, The Lantern, 2000 Light Years from Home, and Vinyl Richie's favorite, On With The Show. Just kidding. Marvelous sounding album in mono. Two strange albums included here are Beggar's Banquet, because by this time Jagger and Richards spent more time on the stereo mix, and actually the mono is just a fold down from the stereo, but it sounds good and focused, so I'm glad they included it. I'm glad they completed the 60s discography. And of course, the last studio album from the 60s, introducing Mick Taylor and saying goodbye to Brian Jones, Let It Bleed, which is a fantastic album in stereo or mono, but it sounds great. In addition to this, they have included a double disc set called Stray Cats, using the what became the artwork for Beggar's Banquet originally, this invitation card styled cover, and this is called Stray Cats and contains most of the single tracks which weren't put on albums. So this is an what shall I say, elaborate compilation, and here you have Jumpin' Jack Flash, Child of the Moon, Street Fighting Man single version, which is another mix than on the album, and of course you have 19th Nervous Breakdown, sounds magnificent in mono. The box set is of high quality cardboard with this magnetic lid, so it finds its locking position. Here's an outlay of the contents of the box. So, and on the underside it's numbered. I think I have a number 7,832 of 10,000 made. Well, two negative things about this box set, which are minor things in my world. This doesn't have the lenticular picture, and it lacks the original psychedelic inner sleeve. But the most disappointing, which isn't too big a deal, Let It Bleed doesn't have any poster. But otherwise, man, this box set is value for money, and I'm so glad I bought it. I urge you to buy the Stones in Mono box set if you can find it, because the Mono Masters sound awesome. Just awesome. So a plug for the Stones in Mono there. Well, that's all for this video. Perhaps I'll make another one before Christmas. I have to see about that if I have the time. Anyway, if I don't see you before Christmas, have a Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoy your week and the holidays, which are soon to come. Bye for now.